and a great columnist for Central Illinois and St. Louis Wrestling, Crime Fighter.
Mad Conservative Crime Fighter, the editor of the St. Louis Wrestling community at stlwrestling.livejournal.com.
Of course. You do have, you cover both St. Louis and Central Illinois. Yes.
Central Illinois, Southern Illinois, and all of Missouri.
Yeah, all right. First off, I want to get some little bit of tidbits of news. If you haven't heard, Total's Nonstop Action has come to St. Louis to the Family Arena. If you don't have your tickets, go get your tickets. It's awesome. Go to Ticketmaster or MetroTix.com. Very excited I am, aren't you all?
Oh, yeah. I just can't wait to get there.
And also, we have some, I know this is probably a little bit old news, but for those who are not even football fans or wrestling fans who are watching the show, local team, the Springfield Stallions, who play in the CIFL Football League, indoor football, they have a new owner, former Intercontinental Champion, downtown D'Lo Brown. And ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce, we are Ringside Chat Management is currently in negotiations to bring the owners onto the show. So, Crime Fighter?
Justin Geddes and D'Lo Brown and Chris Underwood are... they held a press conference, and then this episode is going to be airing sometime in March, early March. This took place about...
late January.
January the, let's see, today's February the 1st, so it took place about Wednesday. Anyway,
yeah,
a week and a half ago when the show was taped, they introduced that D'Lo is going to be putting on a wrestling show right after the Springfield Stallions opening home game against Kalamazoo, Michigan's team. This will be April the 7th. The football game comes first. They believe the game will wrap up by about 9 p.m., and then they will hold at least 4 matches following.
Actually, I have seen the videotape from your various sites you have, and I thought it was kind of threatening how D'Lo Brown had saying, we got people, you guys here in Illinois, you don't got squat, That's how I feel.
The deal was that I had thought there was a push to start another Fed because Justin Geddes, another team owner, is a professional wrestler himself, known as Just in Time, and the recently canceled and recently picked up by VH1 Armed and Famous show is going to have him in a later episode going against Trish Stratus in an angle. But as of now, D'Lo Brown is just doing this show. This wrestling show is going to be a one-shot.
Yeah. So, and also he's
kind of like icing on the cake.
Yeah. And of course, if you want information about the Stallions, go to SpringfieldStallions.com for that information. And getting right into tonight's topic, that my secretary really mismanaged my cards. Yeah, I'm gonna fire her.
No comment.
Yeah, I'm gonna fire her after the sales.
Put her in the doghouse.
Put her in the bulldog lock, whatever.
How can you fire her? She's the only woman you can talk to without giving out your credit card number first.
Hey, don't work on lines that you gave to Crime Fighter.
He doesn't talk to women.
Yes,
No,
I
we
talk to
didn't-
women.
We didn't ask no comments from the peanut gallery here, okay?
I'm listening. Just what's your comment?
Okay.
I'll behave.
Okay, tonight we all wonder, who's overrated, who's underrated. Tonight we're going to answer your questions, okay?
And I'm chock full of opinions on that.
Yeah, these questions are going to be national, guys, so I hope you got your notes on your national wrestling guys.
Just name the man, and I'll give you my opinion.
Okay. Who is the most underrated wrestler in pro wrestling today?
I would have to say Matt Hardy. He got kicked out of the WWE because Edge decided to have an affair with his girlfriend, Lita, Amy Dumas. Edge was already married at the time, mind you, and for a commission of adultery, the wrong guy got punished. Matt Hardy got fired. He eventually got rehired by Vince McMahon to feud with Edge, but he ended up losing a loser leaves town or loser leaves the brand, and he's been just toiling on the lower to mid card, although he's seen a bit of a revival since Jeff Hardy came back, but pretty much as a singles wrestler, he's way underrated.
That's one hell of a feud that summer. I believe summer of 05. That's one hell of a hardcore feud, by the way.
But I remember that match too when Lita was inside the ring with Edge and they gave a promo. And that's where Matt Hardy came back, and they had police surround the ringside area for their own safety. That's what wrestling's about, making it real for the people, and people bought into that storyline. I don't follow a lot of the wrestling out there nationally because some of it just loses its believability. But I think some of the stars like that are underrated, that should be pushed more than what they are. ECW, for some reason, McMahon does not want to push Sabu. Or Balls Mahoney, and they're like people that the fans love a lot and don't really get pushed.
So basically,
Any of the originals.
yeah,
Exactly.
All the originals.
And like you get Matt Hardy, who's really, really good. It all depends, a lot of it's like how they're utilized and how they're good. There's also, we get to underrated in wrestling, to me anyone that's in the national level really can't be underrated because they're there. Or how they're used. Like to me, one of the best wrestlers that was ever in wrestling, he wasn't a superstar, but for sheer talent was Steve Lombardi. He fought anyone in the ring. He can shoot with anyone in the ring and protect himself and tell you how they do. And to me, that is someone that very few people have that ability and be around long as he has in the WWE doing that particular role. So I think guys like him are really underrated in what they can actually do inside the ring.
actually, Steve Lombardi goes under the name Brooklyn Brawler nowadays. So, yeah, I heard he's a pretty good road agent.
See, he's one of these guys that go back to the days of the carny days of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a guy like, say, he's this guy, everyone can kick his butt. He's
Pete
nobody.
Doherty.
Okay? And you're like this champion, but so you walk up and people think, oh, I can take the champion and the bad mouth you. Well, beat him first, but this guy is the guy who's what they call a shooter or a hooker. Someone who legitimately can wrestle you, cripple you, and hurt you.
like Ed Strangler Lewis, for
Right.
example, in the 30s.
He was the main event, but there's a lot of guys that are hookers that are not main event, but maybe look like they're jobbers. But that's to
Right.
sucker people in thinking you can beat them, when in actuality, that's the one guy you don't want to mess with. They say
Exactly.
Ming, Steve Regal are both, and Kurt Angle went to that same school, though he's not underrated by any stretch of the imagination, are actually hookers that can actually, in a legitimate wrestling match, take you out with no problem whatsoever.
Big Daddy Cool, who you think is underrated?
Oh boy. To be honest with you, there is quite a few dirt that would be underrated, but the one that mainly comes to mind would be, I agree with Crime Fighter over here, Matt Hardy.
Okay. Well, my personal opinion on this, you can go on a 5-2 comb, which we don't have much time to me explain. I think I have to go with some guys. This guy's name is Wife Beater in Combat Zone Wrestling. Okay, he's not well known, but I've seen stuff from tapes on the internet. He's been for a lot of matches, as I think you guys will call it a garbage match. You know, he's been in barbed wire matches, like 2 matches or whatnot, and he is a pretty hardcore wrestler. If anybody wants to know who I'm talking about, just go over to CombatZoneWrestling.com. They have his history and whatnot, and you know he's a really hardcore guy. If I got actually a videotape of him wrestling the owner of CZW in a barbed wire match. It's pretty brutal.
What about the big two? Who do you think is the low?
Oh, God.
TNA or WWE? Who's the most underrated?
Actually, thank you for stealing one of my questions. Actually, kind of. TNA is the next big thing, I believe. WWE, it's so bland. It's so outdated. You guys think also?
I
I
think
agree,
they got
Bert.
too much soap opera. There's no real passion in the product.
Right.
Well, I can give you a better example. Last night, the day of this taping, we had the last half hour of ECW go up against Wrestling Society X.
Which, by the
and
way-
there's a night and day difference.
Actually, I think Wrestling Society X could be good if it's going to be good because MTV their shows they show everything like 20,000 times a day. You know, I go to school. I got time between school and work. Actually, I've seen shows that aired like from last night. They show like 2 times already. You know, so MTV, yeah, is a good environment for them.
Well, the rating for that episode of ECW is not out, but the debut of its official time slot did a 1.0, and that is close to what ECW has been doing.
Yeah, rest of Side X, you guys, right now about number 3. So keep up the good work. Also, they have some great guys like Teddy Hart and Vampiro on there.
X-Pac.
Yeah. Who's overrated? Who you can say right now on public access TV? Who's overrated?
I would have to say John Cena. He's been the WWE champion for over a year, and a lot of people have been ragging on him for his ring work. In fact, this year there was quite a debate as to who should be number 1 on the PWA 500. Should it be John Cena or should it be Samoa Joe? A lot of people, if you ask them, would probably pick Samoa Joe, but PWI picked John Cena because he's the WWE champion. Samoa Joe has yet to capture the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
Place he's on.
But he's still undefeated in TNA.
Oh.
Actually not. He lost to Kurt Angle.
True.
Oh,
Yeah.
Point there.
thank you.
Guys in the truck.
He's only
Point
had
there.
1 or 2 losses in TNA ever.
Okay.
Well, like I said, the thing with well, who did you mention? I just lost my train of thought.
John Cena.
John Cena.
Well, Cena, as he gets a reaction, I remember at the ECW One Night Stand, the people, that was the time when he was being booed.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to deal with it, and I thought that he dealt with it very, very well. The people get overrated to me is someone that can go out there. It doesn't matter how good of a wrestler they are. It's the reaction they get from the audience. They go out there, and I've seen local guys, any guys go out there and they push them as these are our stars. They go out there, you're falling asleep during their match. That's overratedness. Mm-hmm. But if they can go out and get a reaction, the crowd's on their feet. Now, Cena, whether they like him or even if he's supposed to be a face, they'll boo him out the building. And Cena, instead of crying away, he stands up to it and just like in One Night Stand, when he threw out his shirt, they kept throwing it back. He kept throwing it back to the audience. So I think that's someone that's not really overrated, but someone that's actually learning to deal with it. So I wouldn't put Cena as overrated. But you get these people that keep pushing these so-called superstars or like the Spirit Squad week after week. When you get guys out there that are much better on their card. Samoa Joe is someone that's definitely underutilized. AJ Styles are the future of wrestling. People like Diesel, people like, I won't say Hogan, even though I'm not a fan of Hogan, he can still pop an audience just like that. So even though he's not the greatest wrestler at all, as an entertainer, he's awesome. As far as that respect goes, I'm not a big fan. But I'd say someone like Diesel, I would say have to be overrated because it's kind of like all he does now is just be Diesel. He doesn't really, I don't think, add much to the product.
Diesel, Kevin Nash, where you want to call him. Oz.
Yes, Kevin Nash. I think it's just an ego trip with him.
Actually, he had a good scene in the movie Punisher. You know, that was a very good movie. Yeah, by the
Well,
way.
he used to stick with movies.
Yeah. Stonewall.
Oh. Who's overrated?
Now, you're a big fan of John Cena.
That's right. Chain gang all the way. But I'm a diehard fan of Cena's. But my overrated wrestler I'll have to pick would be, it'd be a toss-up between Edge and Randy Orton.
Very good point. Very good
And
point.
speaking of Kevin Nash, Oz, whatever he goes by now, but he's on TNA now, and personally, he acts too much like he's gay.
Really?
That's my opinion.
Well, he's not doing much in the way of wrestling.
Right.
He's just pretty much being a mouthpiece
Hey.
for skits.
Exactly.
Oh well.
And he's injured. That's why.
But yeah, it's like the knee or something, isn't it?
He's had torn quads, which seems to plague a lot of wrestlers, especially Triple H.
Well, yeah, Triple H.
Twice now, hasn't it been?
Yeah, he's torn both of them now.
Yeah. Well, I think Triple H back a couple years ago was so overrated. You know, it was like John Cena now, you're just shoving crap in our face. You know, you know,
A
here,
chronic example of overrated is, Triple H, because he was being pushed over everybody. And WWE's biggest problem was they weren't creating new stars because they kept jobbing everybody to Triple H.
Maybe it's not a case of overratedness, but a case of overexposure. That's he's not overrated because he's got the ability, he's got the talent. Just so these guys mistake overratedness for being just plain overexposed.
okay.
People who have no talent, they keep pushing up there. That's ones who get really overrated. Some are just overexposed. Triple H is one that was just overexposed to the point that you got sick with Triple H. And the believability with that sledgehammer, after a while I want to see Triple H on a stick, shove it right where the sun don't shine, because it's like, you get inside the ring, you hit someone with that sledgehammer, they pop back up, well, there's your believability of the product. That's why I stopped watching it, because I couldn't stand it. It's like, where's the believability?
Actually, you can watch it now. He's not even on there.
Well, the other
Yeah.
problem with Triple H was when he was feuding with guys like Scott Steiner or Kevin Nash, the matches were awful. Only until Chris Benoit was thrust into the main picture then there was a big turnaround.
Benoit's a perfect example of what a wrestler should be, because he was trained in the hard dungeon with the legends Brett, Owen, God rest his soul,
Stu.
J.P. Walker, Justin Credible, whatever you want to call him.
Chris Jericho.
Oh, yes.
Don't to mention Hardy Race was training in the dungeon, as was Superstar Billy Graham. I mean, outside the EWA, the dungeon in Canada trained a lot of the superstars of today and of the past who've gone on to great things in the sport.
Of course, great things come out of Canada, bigger is better.
Trish Stratus.
Yeah, thanks for adding sex
Very
appeal.
hot diva.
Yeah, thanks for adding sex appeal for that
Yes.
comment.
Trish, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I kind of touched on this earlier in the green room, but I think it was with you, Crime Fighter. What's the best specialty match that you ever see? Specialty match is like a cage match or a street fight, What's your guys' best ever seen?
Currently, the best, or the type of match that's getting the most attention because no one else had done it previously, is the Ultimate X match. Basically, instead of climb the cage, you basically climb a pole and then you climb end over end on a wire to get the title belt or prize, and in the middle where the two wires are crossed like an X.
And which, by the way, we want to comment that Matt Bailey, the cousin of Shawn Michaels, was in the first Ultimate X. Sanders.
Well, I'm a fan of wrestling, and I don't mind specialty matches if there's an emotional vested interest in the match itself. And I didn't follow this feud, but the match I liked, the specialty match I really enjoyed a lot, was probably, and not to do a cheap local plug, was a tag team ladder match I saw at one of the local cards a few weeks ago. Because that match there was the whole crowd was into it. The emotion was in there. They cared about the wrestlers. They cared what they were doing.
Very good match.
They weren't reacting to what they were doing. They were reacting to who these people were and what they were doing, and that makes a big difference.
That would be Zero Gravity, CJ Esparza, Brett Kakia versus Tough and Spuff,
Tough
Eric
and
Logan.
Stuff.
Yes. NMW Heavyweight Champion, Eric Logan, Spotlight Spencer Powers, and then the eventual winners of the match, the hybrids, Jason Light and Donovan Kane.
And that's the difference between doing a high spot match where, okay, we're going to wrestle, but no one really cares about us, but, oh, look what they can do. That's boring. But this match, two of them had a feud the entire summer, two of the teams. A lot of people have these feud matches. They go like 3 cards. Well, we had a feud. No, you didn't. You just had 3 matches. Those two have had feuds all over the state, matches consistently. So when you had that match, you just had a match where people really cared about what happened to these guys in the ring. They wanted the bad guys to get beat, the good guys to win. They cared about tough and stuff, and that was just how they pulled the fans into the match. Even if you never knew what was going on with these characters, like you could go walking off the street and still be sucked into that match because of the intensity and what they were doing in that ring. It showed very well.
And it was also used to build up the intrigue between one tag team that was going to face each other for a heavyweight title the following month. Spencer Powers goes walking out on Eric Logan, as I expected he was. I didn't think his attitude change was truly genuine.
I think it's genuine. Logan's just a jerk. I mean, let's face it. Spotlight is a good wrestler. He treats the fans with respect.
But
and
he's
very
got
kind.
anger management problems.
No, he isn't. He was a Christian Athlete of the Year this past year. He's a fine, outstanding citizen. So how can you put that poor, decent man down? Spotlight is a fine Christian example for all the young kids out
I
there.
disagree with you.
Yeah, we
Well,
got-
you've never been in church, you wouldn't know. But he's a great man. I'll stick to my story. I may not care from. We may not be friends personally, but professionally, he's a fine young man.
Yeah, we get Sage Ranger to talk about that maybe in the future. Stonewall.
My best is it's a pay-per-view. It was called First Blood, and it was a Triple H versus HBK in the Hell in the Cell match.
Don't you mean Bad Blood?
Yeah, Bad Blood.
Of course. It was amazing pay-per-view. I've been to the original Hell in a Cell match in St. Louis at the original Bad Blood event, which, by the way, they honored the wrestling St. Louis legends, Hard Race, Terry Funk. Yeah, it's pretty good video. Good thing I own it. Me personally, the best special team match I saw was like, I know this is a little bit corny. It's basically a item on a pole match, but it was called what was it called at the Peoria show? Coal Miner's Glove match.
Coal miner's glove, yep.
Yeah, it was really awesome, especially when you're standing in the front row and there was like no boundaries where the wrestlers can basically fight in front of you. Don't you think, Crime Fighter?
Yes, this event was held Next Generation Wrestling up in Bellevue, Illinois, the Peoria area. The two wrestlers that took part in it, Apocalypse and Sinister Raul Montenegro, they basically fought for a glove that was covered in broken glass, barbed wire, tacks, and any other pointed objects you can embed in a glove, and they tore each other's faces up.
The one thing I really want to see is a barbed wire match. I know.
I've seen a few.
I'd love to see one.
Oh,
They get to be pretty gruesome, and I'm not a real fan of blood and guts. Current time, I believe that blood is rather excessively used in wrestling.
I would want to see if that does remind me of a funny story. It was Mick Foley fought Triple H in a match, and they had a barbed wire baseball bat. Well, they had two baseball bats. One had real barbed wire, one had fake barbed wire. And Triple H used the real barbed wire on Mick Foley. Mick Foley used the fake barbed wire on Triple H. Mick Foley came out not too bad with the real barbed wire. But the fake one was a little bit worse because Triple H got all busted to pieces with that fake barbed wire, and he wished he'd used the real one afterwards. So it's, but as far as seeing real barbed wire, after seeing Terry Funk and Sabu, I don't ever want to see a barbed wire match. I think it's pointless. I think it risks hurting the wrestlers a little too much. It used to have them around the ringside in the 70s. Now the ropes are barbed wire, and people just get hurt too bad.
Well, if you go to Japan, they
Yeah.
go beyond barbed wire. They use exploding barbed wire.
They also use fire, and they set a ring on fire one time, and the original Sheik got burned over 75% of his body because of it. It's like, I think it gets to a point, some of these matches are being held for one reason only. It's like, gee, look what we can do. Look how far extreme we can go.
In fact, your promotion, 3CW, which you are curling with?
Indefinite
Yeah.
hiatus, actually.
No, it's not a definite hiatus. Check your facts. The thing on this is that when I first came in, and I was brought in to clean up the violence, and we got more onto personalities, story-living lines, and getting the people to react to us as wrestlers. We got away from a lot of the hardcore matches unless it meant something. That's one direction he wanted to get away from, because that you can only go so long with nothing but gimmick matches, then it gets boring. It's like, gee, I've already seen it. The high spots ended when Mick Foley went off the cage at Hell in a Cell and went through the table.
At King of the Ring, 98.
Yes, that was the ultimate of ultimates. That should have ended it right then and there. Of
course.
Concentrate on wrestling.
Of course, the next question is, was the most dangerous, throwing off a cell or having a scaffold match? Which, thank goodness, none of us.
If you're
have been in.
falling from 10, 12 feet,
It's
it doesn't
dangerous.
matter which kind of match it is. If you fall off of there and hit the ground, the damage is pretty much the same.
Jim Cornette tore out 2 of his knees in a scuffle match in Chicago. I mean, it's a very dangerous match. In fact, wrestling is a dangerous sport. Even if you have a normal match, I've seen guys taken to the hospital on a simple move that went bad, and they end up going to the hospital. So, I mean, it's a dangerous sport But these guys today, you look at the older wrestlers like Race, and even Lou says now he's passed away. A lot of these guys are in wheelchairs, they're in walkers, but they didn't wrestle the style that these guys are wanting to wrestle today. So what are they going to be like when they're 50, 60 years old and they can't even walk because they're doing these insane matches for no point but to do it? I think it's dangerous and it's kind of really hurts them as a person.
Okay, with a few minutes left, we want to say that we do not advocate even backyard wrestling on the show. In fact, we're not even part of any wrestling promotion